action, reaction, news, and interviews. From Europe's biggest open-wheeled formula, this is the F2 Show.
Welcome along, folks. It's another episode of the F2 Show with me, Jonny Hoare, with you. Hello. Hoping that you all got the semi-final fever, as we are now just, 2 days away as we record this show today. Now, all I have to say about this obviously F2 show, firstly, an apology. Now, if you've all got your unloadeds, which I'm sure you'll have very soon, Mr. Rosier, editor of Unloaded, decided to have a little dig at things like that. I can only apologise that I got the semi-finals points wrong. Now, unofficially, I was doing the points, as you know, usually quite good. Now, what I got wrong was the biggest things and what everyone was after, which basically whether Speak and Moody were in the same semi-final. Now, we know that this is the case, that it was indeed not the case. So, we know that obviously Moody and Speak are now in the same semi-final. I can tell you what I tried to do. Because the result came in so late, I was aiming to do a 2.5 hour show. It turned into a 3 hour show, and the result came in 2 hours and 50 minutes into the show. I was frantically trying to find Phil for it, as well as do the points at the same time. So this is why, unfortunately, my points were incorrect at that point in time. But never mind, we've got the official grids now, and even though there's quite a few dropouts, it should be quite an interesting output. But we'll come on to that at the end of the show. So let's have a look and see where we're heading first. And obviously, after the not debacle of the Thursday night, we went all round to Mendips Raceway for a pink meeting, which is always a great meeting to go to. This year, no exception. Unfortunately, the weather was horrific. I mean, traditional Mendips wet weather. The mist came down, the rest of that. So, the bike races, the things like that, little flat and perhaps not raising as much money as it should have done. In the Rookies Award, there was a win for Shane Hector in his yellow TLF, his blue yellow-topped TLF car. He will be racing off blue when he's back again. Jamie Avery in 126 took the first heat. Neil Hooper took the other two, but in the final, it was very much a case of one man dominating, and it was the man who's basically had his first season back for quite some time. His name is Lewis Geach. Lewis has a brand new car for this season, powered by a Z-Tech engine, and he always used to love the wet in his first incarnation, and it was to prove to be the case as he got into the lead fairly early and stayed there. So here we go. We speak to, and I had a word with him after the final. Right, final time here at Mendips. Winner of the Pink Ribbon Trophy for 2015. He drove a near enough flag-to-flag victory. But don't tell Mr. Starter. It was a win for Lewis Geach. Lewis, you must be absolutely delighted with the way the car's gone in the wet today.
Yeah, we've always seemed to have a really good wet car. It's the first final of the year, which we've been desperate for, really. The whole year we've been robbed of a few finals where yellow flags, where we've been near the front or quite near the front, and yeah, it's just one of them.
And you got away from the blues fairly quickly, and obviously got into a bunch of scrapping yellows, and that certainly played into your advantage, and you obviously swooped and took into a lead, and you'll never seen again. Yeah,
you got to strike while the iron's hot. If you can bounce on them while they're still close together, then you can get on with it. But as soon as you give them a chance to run away, then you got no chance to catch them.
Obviously, you had a couple of yellow flags there to deal with. Obviously, with the starts, you seem to get them perfect.
Yeah, we're not. It's not our first restart we've done off the front, and obviously you're pole sitter, so you can sort of have a go at trying to jump a little bit. But yeah, you don't want to get told off.
Yeah, because obviously the bloke who was chasing you rapidly was Jamie Avery, and he did get docked on the line for not starting in the correct position.
Oh, right, well, I didn't know that. All I know is that I already got docked a couple places, but I didn't know the reason why.
So, obviously, back to red. You had a couple of months in near enough every grade apart from white this year.
Yeah, we've had a bit of an up and down year. We've come out with this new car, and we was open to sort of off yellow, sort of have a good go, and we've had a few issues with bits and pieces. Some things just sort of hide behind closed walls, as they say. But yeah, we've had a few issues. We had the throttle jam in the second meeting, and then we had a few issues after that, which we sort of glossed over, but we should have looked at a bit more. But yeah, that's the way it is.
And a final win for Zetec.
Yeah, and I think that there's more to come. They're a good engine. I don't think there's a problem with them. I'm for them, obviously, but we're building a shell car. Well, we've got the steel to build a shell car, so it gives us a chance to run 2 cars again, because we can't really afford to run the country and run £8,000 worth of engines in 2 cars. So it don't happen, does it? So
obviously this year, you're quite nicely placed, one of the top West Country people on the World Final grid this year. Are you looking to try and get into the world?
Yeah, that's the whole point of being into stock car racing, is to try and get into the World Final and wear the gold roof for the year. If it happens, then it happens. But yeah, we'll see. We'll give it the best we can to try and win it. But yeah, you got to be in it to win it, and we're not too bad. 5th row inside. We went to the UK the other week just to get a few laps in, just to see, because I'd never seen the track before. So it was worth going just to see if we can go around there or not.
Yes, and there certainly was a productive meeting up at Skegness, and obviously you've been to Northampton as well. It's looking at, like I say, a very good, productive first full season back. Yeah. It's
I got a lot of thanks for Dad and Will that's helping us at the moment. We spend a lot of time on the car, and yeah, it's a lot of work to do, and I don't think we would do it with because we build everything ourselves. So there's a lot of work in the workshop. But yeah, we love it, so this helps winning the final.
And I can hear yourself on Stocks Radio now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis is a big fan of the show. There's no question about that. He always tells me where I've been going wrong, and many an argument has been shouted at the radio at myself and Steve, according to his old man Dave. So there you go. There's a name check for you guys. But great to see Lewis winning the final. He's been threatening to do that quite often this season. I mean, one thinks back to Hensford at the World Championship qualifying round, where he absolutely was on a mission that day, and he literally just smoothed it so all out. So great to see him back and racing. Always good to see a new driver about that. So let's round up all of July's meetings. It was the Mildenhall Shale weekend, and obviously that brought in a few extra drivers, and including quite a few from the continent as well. Wins on Saturday night for Jake Walker in 298. But the Ollie Skills taking the other win on the Sunday. Now, Ollie doesn't seem to be doing a lot this year. If he is, I know he is due to do the semi-finals as a reserve. But he doesn't tend to do a lot this year on the tarmac. I mean, I know he's looking to move towards saloon stocks, which could be an interesting little move for him. He's certainly a hard and fast driver. Coward and Beef, Mark Fortune took the 25th of July meeting, and down at Barford, which I believe was very poorly attended, on the 26th of July. There was only, I think it was only about 13 cars for that one, on the 26th of July, but it was Chris Burgoyne who took that particular final. Lewis Keats took the final at Bristol, as we know, and on the Sunday, like I say, it was Ollie Skills at Mildenhall. So, that's July rounded up. We'll come back in a minute with the start, which is basically of August. We head to the Nationals weekend at Hensford with a rare another occurrence there for us at Hensford, and also rounding up the stuff but we will also mostly be talking about clutches. But that's after the break. He says, pressing the button, which doesn't happen. Hey, this is live radio. Well, not live radio. Missed an episode of Stocks Radio? I feel your pain, brother. Missing an episode can bring on mental episodes and life-changing circumstances. However, there is a solution on the horizon. iTunes! Simply open up iTunes, go to podcasts and search for Stocks Radio. Hit subscribe and it doesn't cost you a penny. And the next episode is dropped straight into your listening device. Rate, review and subscribe and never miss an episode again.
Warning, missing an episode doesn't actually bring on mental episodes. Your experience may differ. The endotox can go down as well as up. Your home is at risk if you set fire to it.
The F2 Show has nearly as many fans as Gordon Moody.
There's been a horrendous crash clash. This is Roscoe P. Coltrane.
So we're back with the F2 show. Let's head now to where the Royal Final venue is for 2015, and that is Hensford Hills. Now, Hensford usually does not have more than one Bristol 42 meeting each year, which is obviously the qualifying round, but obviously as World Final venue this year, they need a bit more opportunity to get cars dialed in and the like. So, what have we got? Well, we have this, is the answer to that, and we had a quite well attended meeting for drivers looking to dial the cars in. Lots of the usual tarmac suspects, but it was a thoughtless display over the weekend for Richard Bowyer, who, even though he was undergraded at blue, certainly blew away all the times in the Staffordshire Bowl. He certainly took to the tracks very much. Very much the national weekend's all about non-contact racing, but there certainly was a few bumpers flying around on that day. Like I say, non-contact racing for the national championship are usually with the it's a 75 lap race. Now, some drivers took the full advantage because of the early start, and we're talking a midday start at Hensford on the Saturday. They took an advantage to do tarmac in the daytime and in the evening, hot-foot it over to Stoke, so they could do a bit of share. And George McMillan was one of those guys that did that. But in the final at Stoke, it was Sam Wagner who continued his pursuit of being the top shell driver in the country. And he certainly is putting the finals in this year. Now, up at Cowden Beef, otherwise, whilst a lot of the more fancied runners were down at Hensford and the like, it was a case that Craig Wallace took the win there. So, we head now to another Scottish weekend before we head to St Day to have a look and see what was different there. It was a trip to Cowden Beef for the first time this year for Gordon Moody, and Gordon usually signed off with his usual final win there. George McMillan second, and Dennis Midler in his new KMR car and with a new number. I don't think anyone has changed numbers mid-season before. I think the last one to do it was probably Brett Constable, who had 991 at the start of the season and ended up actually by a brief mistake. It was allocated to another driver, and there was actually two 991s for the start of that year. But obviously, with now that case it's all been solved. I think the last one other to do that, obviously, then George McMillan, obviously changing from 100 to 1, Mickey Brennan to 968, doesn't really count. So I think the last one prior to that was probably, I'm just trying to think, Barry Weatherhead. Yes, Barry Weatherhead actually had the cheek to register himself as number 218. And then when a certain Mr. Speak came back, he said, "Oi, that's my number. Get lost." And Barry then became 318. So that's what happened there. So yeah, Gordon won it on the 8th of August at Cowden Beef. The 9th of August, it was the first trip to another trip to Crimmond, and it was Chris Burgoyne who took the win there. Down at the other end of the country, other end of the country, it was St Day. And now, for the first time in a very, very long time, if not for a while, it was a case of a different format. Now, first off, it was the brainchild of Silverline Taxi Supremo Les Palmer, former racer, and obviously, if you know your stock car history, very controversial character. But Les put up 50 quid for every white top that turned up, and there were 6 white tops that turned up, and they had a race at the beginning of it for a brand new Premier Motorsports wing. And it looked as though it was going to be quite a close run thing towards the end, but it was, in the end, it was Brian Lindsay, probably the most experienced of all the white tops there. There was several other there, but Brian Lindsay took the win and a brand new wing with the car